Welcome back, Maka learners! In Lesson 1, we learned what an ecosystem is. We discovered it is composed of biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem are important for the survival of the entire ecosystem. We also learned that ecosystems are different from one another. We also looked into two kinds of ecosystem, terrestrial and aquatic. In this lesson, we will take a deep dive into aquatic ecosystems, specifically the marine ecosystem. Let's go! As much as we would like to show you how it is underwater, travel restrictions won't allow us. However, we can look at what other people have seen during their time underwater, including the many organisms that have evolved to thrive in these conditions that we simply cannot survive in. Aquatic environments are specialized environments and come in two forms, freshwater and marine or oceanic. Freshwater ecosystems contain water that isn't salty, even if it has 1% the salt content of the marine ecosystem. It's what you'd expect to see in rivers, lakes, and streams. Marine ecosystems, on the other hand, have water that is salty. That's what you often see in our seas and oceans. Their saltiness, or what scientists refer to as salinity, may sound too simple for most of us. But that 1% difference is enough for these two aquatic ecosystems to have vastly different biotic and abiotic components. Aquatic animals need oxygen, much like us land dwellers do. Marine animals, though, have developed special body parts like gills to get their oxygen from water, which still has oxygen. Oceans cover over 75% of the Earth's surface. As salty as they are, seas and oceans are critical to our survival because they supply most of the water for the planet. Water from the biggest oceans and seas evaporate and form clouds, which eventually pump out rain. Ocean temperatures also dictate the kind of climate the Earth has. Plants found in seas also expend most of the oxygen present in the air we land dwellers breathe. All of these combine to make the marine ecosystem fairly special, apart from its high salt content. Let's look at this example of a marine ecosystem. It shows a forest of kelp under the sea. Kelp are giant seaweed that grow upwards of 150 feet. They provide food for fish and other organisms in the ocean. Outside of kelp and other plants under the sea, there's another food source for fish in the ocean, plankton, a microscopic organism that lives amongst the waves. They provide nutrition for organisms such as crustaceans, fish, and squid. Some, like phytoplankton, are also important as they act like the plants we have on land. They provide oxygen to the planet. Most plankton can't move by themselves. They often get from one place to another by simply floating and being moved by the waves. Some plankton, however, can control their movements, like jellyfish, which are a larger kind of plankton. Plankton are divided into two groups, phytoplankton and zooplankton. Phytoplankton are the more plant-like plankton, producing oxygen through photosynthesis. Zooplankton, on the other hand, are animals or animal-like plankton and include things like microbes and jellyfish. Now, let's clear out the kelp and look at the food chain for a marine ecosystem. Here's how phytoplankton and zooplankton are further related, right at the bottom. Phytoplankton are the primary producers in the ocean. Zooplankton and other marine animals are the consumers. Oceans are divided into marine zones. These are special environments within the ocean that are distributed according to depth and distance from the shore. This area here, where the land meets the water, is called the intertidal zone. You might know it by a simpler name, the beach. It's also part of the photic zone, an area less than 1,000 meters above sea level where photosynthesis can still take place. Beyond the beach, roughly 1,000 meters below sea level, is the aphotic zone. It's at this depth that light starts to fade. The deeper you go, the less light you get. The marine environment itself is split into two: the water or pelagic environment and the seafloor or benthic environment. The pelagic zone is further divided into two: the Neretic zone and the oceanic zone. The Neretic zone includes the water above the continental shelf or the coastal plain found underwater. The oceanic zone is any ocean water seen beyond the continental shelf. Go a bit farther down is the abyssal zone, the largest part of the ocean. Why do we need to know these zones? It's because we can use this information to tell what types of biotic components can be found in a certain part of the ocean. Many marine organisms can be classified into living on the benthic or the pelagic environment. Some of them start their life in the seafloor before moving to the water. Pelagic organisms include plankton and one type we didn't reveal until now: nekton. Nekton are the active swimmers of the ocean. Most of them are vertebrates or animals with backbones. These are the fish, reptiles like sea turtles, whales, mollusks like squid and octopus, and crustaceans like crayfish and lobsters. Benthic organisms are called benthos. These are grouped into macrobenthos, or organisms larger than 1 millimeter, and microbenthos, organisms that are smaller than 1 millimeter. Benthos include starfish, bivalves like mussels and clams, diatoms, and bacteria. The ocean also has a submarine ecosystem where sea dwellers interact with the pitch black and extreme pressures down in the depths of the ocean. These creatures, however, are not that different from everything else you see. They still have special relationships between each other and their environment. What happens to one of them will eventually affect the rest of their environment, much like what happens on land. Let's get up to speed after this long lesson. Before we move forward, let's remember, aquatic ecosystems are divided into marine ecosystems and freshwater ecosystems. Oceans cover 75% of the Earth's surface and are important for the maintenance of global climate. Plankton are the major producers in marine environments. Consumers like fish eat plankton as a source of energy. The marine environment can be characterized as pelagic and benthic environment. Marine organisms can be classified into those living in pelagic environment like plankton and nekton, and those that live in the benthic environment or benthos. That's our introduction to marine ecosystems. It's a lot to take in, but if you want to learn more, you can look for information on marine biology online. Before you go and do that, do stick around with us for a short quiz, or take the quizzes on your online LMS account. See you on our next episode, my learners!